The first time I saw her, she was lying on a stretcher in the middle of Fifth Avenue, pale as the winter sky, blonde hair tangled around a pink ribbon, her little bear face down in a puddle. I remember thinking, this was supposed to be a quiet Sunday. But for Rebecca Langston, it was the day she decided she was never going to trust anyone with her daughter again. Rebecca was the kind of woman you saw in business magazines. Sharp suits. Diamond. Watch the kind of poise that made people sit up straighter. She'd come home early from a DC conference to surprise her 6-year-old Emily with pancakes, walked into the penthouse to find Silence the nanny on her phone. And Emily, gone. 5 minutes later, there were sirens. The little girl had fallen from the balcony, not fatally, but enough to shatter more than bones. 2 months later, the doctors told Rebecca there was nothing physically wrong. Emily could walk. She just wouldn't. Trauma regression, they called it. The body locking away memories too painful to touch. From that moment, Rebecca built a fortress in the sky, 13th floor, bulletproof glass private therapists who charged more per hour than most people made in a week. But nothing worked. Emily stopped talking, stopped looking anyone in the eye. It was like she'd vanished without leaving the room. And then came the janitor. Not the sloppy, head-down kind you forget is there. This one moved slow, deliberate, like he'd been waiting his whole life for something worth waiting for. Name was Daniel Ruiz. Late 30s, clean uniform boots, worn but polished. Emily noticed him first. She paused in her wheelchair, eyes locked on the way he pushed that mop like he was painting the marble instead of cleaning it. Rebecca saw it from behind the glass wall of her office, and ordered security to move him to another floor immediately. That night, her mother, sharp-tongued cane in hand, stormed into the kitchen. "You've hired 20 therapists in 6 weeks," she said. "None of them got a reaction. This man walks by and your daughter looks at him and you send him away." Rebecca didn't answer. She'd spent her whole life controlling outcomes. Letting a stranger in felt like inviting disaster. But the next morning, thanks to a maintenance issue, her mother mysteriously reported Daniel was back. Emily dropped her bear near him on purpose. He picked it up, brushed it off, placed it gently in her lap. No words, just a nod. Rebecca saw her daughter blink once, and for the first time in months her chest tightened with something that felt dangerously like hope. Over the next week, Daniel didn't push. He fixed loose rails, replaced light bulbs, organized dusty therapy shelves. Sometimes his son Lucas, 7 years old, big brown eyes, came along, sitting in the corner, sketching superheroes. Emily would watch him draw, her hands twitching like she wanted to be part of it, but didn't know how. One afternoon, Daniel found a cracked music box buried under old toys. The ballerina inside was frozen, mid-spin, paint-chipped. "Doesn't sing anymore," he told Emily softly. "Kind of like me after I lost someone." She inched closer. "Let him fix it." When it finally let out a warped lullaby, she pressed her hands over it, breathing hard, not from fear, but from remembering. And then the fire drill happened. No one told Emily. The alarm hit like a bomb. She folded under the art table, shaking, clawing at her ears. Daniel was halfway down the hall when he heard it. Not the alarm, but that kind of panic that bleeds. Security tried to stop him. He shoved past. He dropped to the floor beside her. Didn't touch, didn't demand. Just started humming a lullaby. Lucas ran in barefoot, crawled under the table and wrapped his arms around her, like he'd done it 100 times. Emily didn't push him away. She leaned. Rebecca saw it all from the doorway. And for the first time, she didn't rush in to take control. She just watched. But then everything cracked. Grace, Rebecca's mother, accidentally recorded Emily laughing at Lucas's ridiculous penguin on paper plates act. It went viral overnight. Rebecca's face hardened. "You crossed a line," she told Daniel. "This isn't therapy anymore, it's theatre." She sent them both away. The penthouse went quiet again. Too quiet. One night, Rebecca found Emily sitting in the therapy room holding the Team Us poster Lucas had drawn. She tugged at her mother's sleeve, not to pull, just to hold on. Rebecca dropped to her knees. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I thought I was protecting you. Maybe I was just protecting myself." The next day, she took the subway for the first time in years. No assistants, no PR team, just her. She knocked on a worn apartment door. Lucas opened it barefoot, spoon in hand. "Is your dad home?" Daniel stepped out, eyes wary. "I got it wrong," she said. "All of it. You and your son didn't take anything from us. You gave us something I didn't know how to ask for." He studied her for a long moment, then stepped aside. From then on, they weren't just visits. They were shifts in gravity. Daniel reopened Emily's old therapy room, not as a clinic, but as a place to begin again. Lucas taped the Team Us poster to the wall. Emily crawled over, touched it, sat beneath it. She started standing for a few seconds at a time, then a few wobbly steps. Then one morning, Rebecca walked into the kitchen to find her daughter in pajamas and socks tugging at her robe. "You walked here," Rebecca gasped. Emily nodded. "Can we stay here forever?" And that's when Rebecca made the call. She walked into the boardroom that afternoon, looked her executives dead in the eye, and said, "I'm stepping down." They called her crazy, said it would destroy her reputation. "Then maybe it was built on the wrong things," she replied. 2 weeks later, a moving truck pulled up to a small house in the Hudson Valley. Not a mansion, not a penthouse, a home. Rebecca stood on the porch with lemonade that was way too sour. Daniel laughed. "That's the problem with real lemons." Lucas bolted out of the truck. Emily followed cane in hand, then tossed it aside and walked barefoot straight across the yard to Daniel. She stumbled once, caught herself, and when she reached him, she wrapped her arms around his waist. "Daddy," she whispered. His throat closed. "You did that all by yourself. I didn't want you to go. I never will." That night, they ate burnt garlic bread and spaghetti with mismatched forks. Emily sat glued to Daniel's side. Rebecca watched them from across the table, realizing she didn't need skyscrapers or glass fortresses to feel powerful. She just needed this, the messy, loud, imperfect thing that felt like family. Later on the porch, Emily tugged Daniel's hand. "Dance with me." There was no music, but the stars didn't care. Rebecca pulled Lucas close and whispered, "Thank you for bringing your dad into our lives." Lucas grinned. "He's not that bad, huh?" Rebecca laughed through her tears. "No, sweetheart, he's perfect. Some families are born, others are built by the people who choose to stay. And sometimes the real victory isn't winning in the boardroom, it's sitting on a porch holding hands with the people who pulled you out of your own walls and calling that enough. So now I'll ask you, if you were... Rebecca, would you have let a janitor and his kid into your world, or would you have kept the walls up? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell me if you believe love like this can really change a life, or if it's just a story we like to tell ourselves. Because sometimes the only way to find out is to stay.